Hello students, today we are going to see what are data models in a database. The data model is nothing but a logical structure of the database. This means how the tables in the database are created and how they are connected to each other. This is decided by the data model. Data model defines how data is connected to each other and how they are processed and stored inside the system. In a database, there are various different tables. These tables they are connected to each other, and this is what decides the data model. There are three different data models. The first one is network model, second one is hierarchical model, and the third one is the relational model. The relational model is the most popular model. It is the primary model which is used in database management systems. Now, next we are going to study what is a transaction. A transaction is basically an activity which is performed on a table in the database. A transaction is a unit of work that is performed against database. So, any kind of action that we are performing in the database, for example, creating a table, creating a new record, modifying a record, deleting, inserting, all these are nothing but the transactions of the database. Example, creating a record, deleting a record, updating a record from the table, all these are transactions. Whenever we are transferring amount from one account to another, we say we have performed a transaction. Next, let us learn the properties of a transaction. The properties of transaction, there are 4 different properties of a transaction. The acronym for the same is ACID, A-C-I-D. So, whenever we are talking about a database, whenever we are talking about a transaction, the transaction must follow the 4 standard properties. These are A-C-I-D properties. A stands for atomicity. Atomicity means the transactions are complete or nothing. Let us consider an example where a person A is transferring 1000 rupees to person B. In this case, if amount 1000 is debited from person A's account but it is not credited in person's B account, then we say that the transaction is not complete, and hence atomicity ensures that the transaction must be complete. If there is a credit from one account, then the same amount should be debited from the another account. The next property is consistent. Consistent means only valid data is saved. This means if a person is transferring an amount of 1000 rupees to person's B's account, then 1000 rupees should be credited to person B's account. It should not be that instead of 1000, 10,000 is credited or 100 is credited. So always and always the transaction should be consistent. The third property is isolation. Isolation means the transactions do not affect each other. When we consider an example for this, let us consider that person A is transferring 500 rupees to person B, and at the same time person A is transferring 200 rupees to person C. In this, there are 2 transactions which are initiated by person A. Both the transactions should be completed irrespective of the other transactions. So in this case, person B should get 500 rupees and person C should get 200 rupees. The 2 transactions should be carried out individually without any relation to the other transaction. The last property is durability. Durability means written data will not be lost. This means in case there is a system failure, if the database management systems stops working due to some reasons, in that case, the database should come back to the last known consistent state. It should not be somewhere in between. It should always and always have the same durable state where the database has failed. So these 4 properties are very much important for a transaction to complete. One more time, the properties are: A stands for atomicity, C stands for consistency, I stands for isolation, D stands for durability. So this is all that we have to study today. Thank you, students.